Opening lines from The Waste Land by T.S.Eliot, first published this year. Nationality, words linked to articles with information on the nation's poetry or literature. Events. February 2nd. Who Goes with Fergus by W. B. Yeats is the song that haunts James Joyce's autobiographical character Stephen Dedalus in the novel Ulysses, first published complete in book form today. Stephen sings it to his mother as she lies dying, and her ghost returns to taunt him with it. The poem is Joyce's favorite lyric, and he has composed his own musical setting. In that savage creative storm of less than 3 weeks beginning today at the Château de Museau in Switzerland, Rainer Maria Rilke writes his sonnets to Orpheus and completes his Duino elegies. April. The Fugitive is established in Nashville, Tennessee, by John Crow Ransom and other members of the Vanderbilt University English faculty who become known collectively as the Fugitives. June. Over a single night at his home in Shaftesbury, Vermont, Robert Frost completes the long poem New Hampshire, and at sunrise writes, stopping by woods on a snowy evening. September 22nd. Indian Bengali poet Qazi Nazrul Islam publishes the poem Anandamoy Agamain in support of the Indian independence movement, in the Puja issue of his new bi-weekly magazine Dhumketu, for which he is arrested by the police of the Bengal presidency and imprisoned on a charge of sedition for much of the following year, undertaking a hunger strike and composing many poems while in prison. His poem, Vidrohi, is first collected this year in his first anthology, Agnibina. October 15th. T.S.Eliot establishes a Criterion magazine, containing the first publication of his poem The Waste Land. This first appears in the United States later this month in The Dial and is first published complete with notes in book form by Boney and Liverite, in New York in December. November. Robert Bridges publishes his essay on free verse, Humdrum and Harem's Karam. December 6. W. B. Yeats becomes a nominated member of the Shanna Theron in the Irish Free State. Pulitzer Prize for Poetry established. Works published in English. Canada. William Wilfred Campbell. The Poetical Works of Wilfred Campbell, W. J. Sykes ed. Posthumously published. William Douw Lighthall. Old Measures. Marjorie Pigthall, The Woodcarver's Wife, and Later Poems. Toronto. McClelland and Amp. Stewart. Indian Subcontinent in English, including all of the British colonies that later became India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and Nepal. Swami Ananda Acharya, The Comrade. Poems on philosophical themes. Alvdal, Norway. Gaurasankar Brahmakul, 105 pages. Use Erika, Dawn Rhythms. Alvdal, Norway. Gaurasankar Brahmakul. Christina A. Albers, Ancient Tales of Hindustan. Sri Aurobindo, Baji Prabhu, Pondicherry, Arya Office. N. M. Chatterjee, Parvati, Harindranath Chattopadhyaya, The Magic Tree, Madras. Shabas Publishing House. Perfume of Earth, Madras. Printed at Huxley Press. Joseph Furtado, Lays of Goa and Lyrics of Goan, of Souvenir of the Exposition of St. Francis Xavier, Bombay. Furtado and Sons. Puran Singh, At His Feet, Gwalior. United Kingdom. Marian Angus, The Lilt and Other Verses, Scottish poet writing in the Scots language. Edmund Blunden, The Shepherd, and Other Poems of Peace and War. Enid Blyton, Child Whispers. Hilda Conkling, Shoes of the Wind. A. Coppard, Hips and Haws. John Drinkwater, Preludes, 1921 1922. T.S.Eliot, The Waste Land. Wilfred Gibson, Crindlestike. Thomas Hardy, Late Lyrics and Earlier, with many other verses. A. Houseman, Last Poems. James Pitton Dry McGillivray, Bog Myrtle and Peter Reek, Scottish poet writing chiefly in dialect. Hughes Mearns, Antigonish, Susan Miles, Annotations, E. Nesbit, Many Voices, Alfred Noyes, The Watchers of the Sky, Volume I of the Torchbearers Trilogy, followed by The Book of the Earth, The Last Voyage, published as The Torchbearers. Marjorie Pigthall, The Woodcarver's Wife, including Marching Men, Poems of Today, British Poetry Anthology, 2nd Series. Isaac Rosenberg, Poems, Edith Sitwell, Facade, the concert version, with music by William Walton, performed January 1922, Sir Cheverel Sitwell, The 101 Harlequins, and Other Poems. J.C. Squire, Poems, 2nd Series. Muriel Stewart's Poems. W.B. Yeats, Irish poet, published in the United Kingdom. Later Poems, Macmillan's collected edition of Yeats's works, Volume I. Plays in Prose and Verse, Macmillan's collected edition of Yeats's works, Volume E. United States. Conrad Aiken, Priapus and the Pool. John Peel Bishop, with Edmund Wilson, The Undertaker's Garland. John Dos Passos, A Pushcart at the Curb. James Weldon Johnson, Book of American Negro Poetry. Claude McKay, Harlem Shadows. Hughes Mearns, Antigonish, often called The Little Man Who Wasn't There, inspired by reports of a ghost of a man roaming the stairs of a haunted house in Antigonish, Nova Scotia, first published on March 22 by Franklin Pierce Adams in his New York World column, later a popular song. Louise Pound, American Ballads and Songs. Elizabeth Maddox Roberts, Under the Tree. Carl Sandburg, Slabs of the Sunburnt West. George Santayana, Soliloquies in England and Later Soliloquies. Gertrude Stein, Geography and Plays. John Hall Wheelock, The Black Panther. William Carlos Williams, Spring and All, including The Red Wheelbarrow. Y.V.O. Winters, The Magpie's Shadow. Other W.B. Yeats, Irish poet, published in the United Kingdom. Later Poems, Macmillan's collected edition of Yeats's works, Volume I. Plays in Prose and Verse, Macmillan's collected edition of Yeats's works, Volume E. Works published in other languages. France Paul Claudel, Poems to Guerre. Francis Jammes, Livre des Quatrains, published each year from this year to 1925. Oscar Vladislas de Lubaca's Miloz, also known as O. V. de El Miloz, La Confession de l'Emoule. Alphonse Metria, Le Livre des Sœurs. Pierre Revedy, Cravates de Chanva. Philippe Soupeau, Westwigo. Paul Valery, Charms. Germany. Rainer Maria Rilke completes both the Duino elegies and the sonnets to Orpheus. Germany. Kurt Schwitters, Anna Bloom, Dichtungen, including an Anna Bloom, a second, revised edition with 9 instead of the original 20 poems, and with the addition of translations of Anna Bloom into English, French and Russian, published by Verlag Paul Stegemann, Hanover, Germany. Memoir Anna Bloom's in Blay, a chronicle and parody of reactions to the original Anna Bloom, Dichtungen of 1919. Spanish language Xavier Abril, Hollywood, Peru. Manuel Maples Arce, Andamios Interiors, Mexico. Gerardo Diegard, Manual de Espumas, Spain. Gabriela Mistral, Desolation, including Decalogo del Artista, New York. Instituto de las Españas, Chilean poet, published in the United States. Circuito Vallejo, Trilce, Peru. Pablo de Roca, Los Gemidos. Other languages Anna Akhmatova, Anno Domini MCMXXan, Soviet Union. Mario de Andrade, Paula Saeirdas Ferrada, Brazil. Tom Christensen, Parfuglefturin, Denmark. Muhammad Jamin, Tanah Air, Indonesia. Modern Malay language. Awards and honors. Edwin Arlington Robinson won the Pulitzer Prize for Poetry for his collected poems. Hawthornden Prize for Poetry. Edmund Blunden. Births. Death years linked to the corresponding in poetry article. January 22, Vernon Scannell, born John Vernon Bain, English poet, author and professional boxer. March 12, Jack Kerouac, American novelist, writer, poet, artist, and part of the Beat Generation School of Poetry. April 16, Kingsley Amis, English novelist and poet. May 21, Dorothy Hewitt, Australian feminist poet, novelist, librettist and playwright. June 9, John Gillespie Magee, Jr., Anglo-American aviator and poet. June 30, Amelia Barua, Indian, writing in Assamese. Miron Bialozewski, Polish poet and playwright. July 17, Donald Davy, English poet and critic, member of the movement. July 26, Cheryl Anwar, Indonesian poet of the 1945 generation. August 9, Philip Larkin, English poet, novelist, jazz critic and librarian. August 26, Elizabeth Brewster, P. Canadian poet and academic. September 12, Jackson Maclow, American poet, performance artist, composer and playwright. November 24, Aris Alexandrou, Greek novelist, poet and translator. November 25, Fumiko Nakajo, pen name of No Fumiko, Japanese tanki poet with a turbulent life. December 3, Eli Mandel, P. Canadian poet and literary academic. Also, Leland Bardwell, Indian-born Irish poet and novelist. Peter Bladen, Australian Ahmed Hardy, Kurdish. Deaths. Birth years linked to the corresponding in poetry article. January 21, John Kendrick Bangs, 59, American author, satirist, poet and the creator of Bangsian fantasy, a school of fantasy writing that sets the plot wholly or partially in the afterlife. February 2, Zahida Khatun Sherwani, writing as Zakashin, Indian Urdu language woman poet. February 3, John Butler Yeats, Irish painter and poet, father of W.B. Yeats. April 19, Marjorie Pigthall, English-born Canadian writer. May 13, Sir Walter Raleigh, Scottish scholar, poet and author. July 8, Morio Guy, Japanese physician, translator, novelist and poet. September 2, Henry Lawson, 55, Australian writer and poet. September 10, Wilfred Scawen Blunt, 82, British poet and writer. November 27, Alice Meynell, 75, and Q.T. Thompson, English writer, editor, critic and suffragist, remembered mainly as a poet. December 4, Josephine Peabody, American poet and playwright.